Magneto's back, y'all, and the X-Men are dealing with the loss. Let's check it out in the newest issue of Tommy Reads X-Men. Tommy Reads X-Men. Tommy Reads X-Men. It's cool. What's going on? It's your boy back at you again with another issue of Tommy Reads X-Men. Today, we're looking at X-Men number 43 from April 1968, written by Roy Thomas, with art by George Tuska, and Warner Roth doing the backup story. This one is called The Torch Passed. Now, in the first panel, first little thing you see, they let you know that George Tuska's filling in for Don Heck, who's busy working on some Spider-Man issues. Now, I thought George Tuska's artwork was pretty good. To me, it reminded me of like the early issues with Jack Kirby. He had that Kirby kind of same style. So we start off this issue on a somber note. We start off with the funeral of Professor Charles Xavier. How do I say goodbye to Professor Papa Chuck? The X-Men are mourning Professor X. They're there at his funeral, casket and everything. And who should show up, or who should run up, rather, but Quicksilver. Now they see him and they're like, oh, nah. I know he ain't coming to Papa Chuck's funeral and starting some stuff. But he's not. Actually, he goes and he wants to pay his respects. And he also wants to talk to Professor X. But unfortunately, he's too late. Because as we've established and mentioned several times, Papa Chuck dead. So the X-Men confront him. And rather than explain himself because he was winded, that he's like, I ran all the way here from across the world. Just give me a second. They're like, you ain't got no seconds. What are you doing here? And he's like, you know what? Screw you guys. I'm going home. Now, where's Magneto, you ask? Now, he and Charles' relationship isn't as established as we, know now in the comics. Back then, they were still rivals. They didn't kind of touch on their friendship until much later, or the mutual respect that they would gain for each other. In this one, he's just like, kind of still super evil Magneto, even though he's one of my boys. Magneto's one of my favorite characters. We will establish this. And he is watching this whole funeral via a camera from his lair. Now, how he got the camera there and how he set it up, tripod and all, I don't know. How the X-Men don't notice this because it's like right in front of their faces. He's watching it and he's like, Quicksilver, how dare you? How dare you turn on me? At the funeral, it was just the X-Men because, why would the Juggernaut show up? Charles is his stepbrother or half-brother or whatever, but, Charles is horrible to the Juggernaut. He kept him, if you haven't seen, go back a bunch of issues and you will see how horrible Papa Chuck is to Kane, his brother, the Juggernaut. He's kept him in a coma-like state, just a prisoner in the mansion for months, but he got his receipt. Now back at the mansion, Jean tells the other X-Men, I got something to show y'all. And she pulls this lever and another secret room, because Charles has this place Home Alone booby-trapped. Another secret room in the mansion shows up, and in it, they have a projector, and the X-Men get their final message in comic form. We know he's back, but they get their final message, no one stays dead in comics, from Charles Xavier. Now, you think he would be a heartfelt kind of X-Men, I've loved you all as children, but nah.
Well, I guess there's just one thing left then. Tell us you love us.
Now look, if there's one thing I've taught you is that there is a line between teacher and student that must never be crossed.
Tell us you love us.
I regard all my students equally.
Oh, you know we're your favorites.
Now that ain't Papa Chuck's way. He's basically like, X-Men, I've been dying for a while, and I pushed you so hard to get you ready for life without me. And by the way, Jean totally knew about this for a while, like a long while, but she ain't said nothing, because I told her don't say nothing. Anyways, I'm dying. Most likely, when you're seeing this, I'll be long dead. Bye! Cut to Magneto in his castle's cliffside lair. Now, where is he getting these layers from? Because he was in space for a good long time. Now, his real estate agent must be off the chain because he's always getting these fancy layers. Like he had a moon base and, you know, stuff like that. Anyway, he's got a castle lair. And Quicksilver comes back and Toad and Magneto confront him about, you know, what's up with your loyalty, bruh? You know, you going to see the X-Men or what? And he's like, don't even start with me or whatever. Now, at this point, Wanda and Pietro have left the Avengers and rejoined Magneto's Brotherhood. Wanda was actually shot or something like that in the Avengers, and then an argument with her brother and the rest of the team caused them to leave and then go back to Magneto where he was waiting to take them back. Now, spoilers, later on in the issue, they tell us that Magneto was the one who kind of set that all up to kind of get him back into the fold. Now, what's Magneto's plan? I'm going to be honest. This was a C-level Mag's plan, because like he was just like, oh, let's build a machine to destroy the humans. Like, what kind of machine? Just a machine. Just a machine. Out of metal, obviously, right? Like, it's not like he's taking over the moon or, you know, he's got his own, you know, Genosha or whatever. But no sooner as he telling us his plan that the X-Men show up via a ship, like a cargo ship. Like, and they mention when they're getting off that, like, oh, good thing, Angel's like, good thing I got my allowance this week. And then Beast, because he's a jerk, even though he didn't pay for that trip, Angel's, you know, fronted the bill for all 5 X-Men to go sneak aboard a cargo ship, pay off the captain, and whatever. He's like, oh, you could buy a whole ship with the money you have. Like, Hank's just a jerk, man. He's got this inferiority thing, and that's why he's always charging in first, getting knocked out first. You know, his quips aren't even that quippy. More like slopes. X-Men show up in Magneto's lair, and they're going through the catacombs, and one of them happens to mention, I think it was Jean, you know, you think there'd be a lot more traps around here. Boom! They did not notice that all that layer is built entirely of metal, so Magneto basically just starts... keep doing it. That was fun. Anyway, he's flinging metal at him. The X-Men are on the offensive. It's a big old fight. He's like, oh, X-Men, you're back. And now he's like, Magneto's like crazier than usual. He's hitting him with the crazy eyes. You got Mags here rocking the crazy eyes. And Toad ends up using a battering ram to stun the X-Men. Now the ram, like the battering ram was literally shaped like a ram's head, like with horns and whatnot. And why they needed to build that, I don't know. He's just like, you could just make like a ram or like a thing to hit people with. But he's like, no, you know what? I'm going to put some design on it. I'm Magneto. I don't half-ass nothing. I whole-ass everything. And here we go, ram design. Now, Cyclops and Quicksilver end up facing off. Now, if you haven't seen older issues or you don't know, Cyclops and Quicksilver are secret best friends. They don't want to fight each other. They don't want to, you know, argue. They seem like they want to hang out and just be buds. And so, like, they're basically, their fight is like, hey, hi. And in the end, Magneto straight up electrocutes the X-Men, knocks him out, and it looks like he's got the temporary W. But we're going to find out next month because that was the end of the main story. Let's get to the backup story. Was had the art by Warner Roth. Again, written by Roy Thomas. This one was called Call Him Cyclops. It wasn't so much, you know, a story or a short story as it was just kind of letting you know what Cyclops' powers are, where he gets them from, you know, stuff that's got going on with him as far as uniforms and power goes. And I found it really interesting. Like, some stuff I didn't know, like, and maybe they've retconned it since, but it's going in the order that I have to go with what they tell me, right? So he's like, Cyclops' power actually comes from the sun, which I did not know. So, like, his eyelids are kind of charging up the energy. The whole backup story left me with so many questions, more questions than answers. Now, they said it even stores it up while he's sunbathing, but what about when he's sleeping and stuff like that? Like, what about, like, he has a nightmare, like, and he's like, oh, like, if he wakes up like that, like, wouldn't the I-beams, like, shoot straight up and destroy a building? Like, who wakes up? Now, I wear glasses, right? I'm gonna take them off. I wear glasses, and the first thing I do when I wake up is open my eyes. I don't go blindly reaching for my glasses and stuff like that. No. Like, so what does he do? Does he just kind of, where are they? Where did I leave them? They also mentioned when he has the ruby quartz glasses, they're like, why ruby quartz over, like, something else, like just regular glass or diamonds? And Stan Lee put in the little box, he straight up put, we don't know. We don't know, but when we come up with something, we'll let you know. So for now, ... just reasons. The last thing that I found interesting about Cyclops' uniform or whatever, now he has a little lever that he, uses to optic blast, like you see him, and then they mention, like, sometimes he doesn't hold the thing while he shoots, and they say because that's in his glove, he has another little lever that lets him push the button to shoot out the beam. What? What about when he has closed fist punching somebody? Wouldn't the lever go off? Like, so many questions. So many questions. Let me hit you with some final thoughts. Okay, y'all. This one was about an 8 out of 10. And let me tell you why. Magneto's back, which is a great thing. Magneto is a great anti-hero. I ain't gonna call him villain. And one of my favorite X-Men. I've established that throughout this video if you haven't been paying attention. Papa Chuck's funeral was short. And, his final message to the X-Men was very cold and very like, oh, well, here's what's happening, which is kind of his way. So, I mean, I don't know why I expected this outpour of I love you, X-Men, you're like my children kind of thing.
Tell us you love us.
Nah. So the backup story was great too. After we got through the whole Jack of Diamonds stuff in the previous few issues, that was boring. I really enjoyed this kind of outlook about Cyclops' what he can do ability-wise and like the little tricks and stuff on his uniform. Granted, it left me with so many questions that they were not going to answer, but I enjoyed it. If you like what you're seeing or mildly entertained, please like and subscribe down here. Hit that bell notification in the corner somewhere. I don't know exactly where it's at. If you could do me a favor and help me spread the word about Tommy Love Stuff channel, YouTube's best kept secret, I'd definitely appreciate it. If this is your first time watching, thank you for letting me entertain you for a couple minutes. If this is your 15th, 20th, 45th time watching, I appreciate you and continue to support me. You're awesome. Anyway, we'll be back next week. Check the channel. We got a whole bunch of different reviews, food reviews, movie reviews. We even talk some wrestling on here. If you haven't checked out the older issues of Tommy Loves X-Men, please do so in the playlist. We'll see you later. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.